Hi friends, myself Dr. Sonu Pawar. So I will be discussing up this FMG August micro session questions. Okay. So basically this was a very tough exam, no doubt in that particular one. And in a way, it is forming a base for the next. Okay. And which you have to face also. The only thing is that you were completely unprepared this time for this type of pattern. Okay. So what I will suggest you guys that let whatever be the pattern is. Okay. You should not change your strategy very drastically because the time is very less for the December session, and in fact this is good only for you that you are having another exam in a very short particular time like 3 months and all. You will be having the another one, so you can't change your strategy very drastically. Okay, because that can prove very detrimental if you change your strategy very drastically. You change up and you think that I will adapt to this pattern and I will have the maximum things and all. It will not be so. Okay. And definitely I think that in this paper some marks will be allotted to all the candidates somewhat. I think so, because it seems that it will be difficult to reach up to the victory line in this particular one. So in a way you can think of that if this type of paper have come in this, so in the December, because of these all outcries and all, definitely a balanced paper will be there. Okay, definitely a balanced paper will be there. Let anybody say anything, don't lose hopes. Okay, because that is what is there with you and you should have it, and you should just stand up again and just come back to your like the domain which you have, which you control the best, that is the studying. Okay, don't lose hopes man. उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है, ऐसे लाइक से इन हिंदी, और जो बीत गया वो बात गई. ठीक है, you have to be in the present and just have to think of the upcoming session which is coming up in the December. And if you just linger upon that this have happened, that have happened, okay, I will suggest up, don't waste even a single day now. Don't wait for the results and all. Just from my point of view, I will say that now you should practice up case oriented. Okay, and every particular subject definitely will be important. You will not be finding them directly, I suppose now, but definitely that thing will be somewhere else, and that somewhere else you have to find out in that particular integration, and that will be done only when you have a thorough aspect of pre and para, along with the obviously your ENT, OFTA and all, and final year subjects. They are forming the crux, but those crux definitely have the inways in the pre and para. Okay, so whatever the case scenario comes, whatever the things comes, the hint will be there in the question itself from various subjects. Okay, and if you able to catch up that particular hint from a particular subject only, then you will able to do up the questions very fast. Okay, so basically the funda is that you don't have to like read up the full question. Okay, you have to focus upon the 2-3 features of it and immediately you have to catch upon that particular thing. That is what is there. This time the problem was you are not well versed with that case scenario and all, but now you know that this all thing can come, so you can just practice up these case scenarios in a go, and you can focus upon these particular things for the future exam. Okay, so myself also starting up a series on my YouTube channel, and in that I will as per the case scenario I will discuss up, and related pictures also I will put up of that particular organism. Okay, and that will definitely help you in the upcoming exam also, and the NEET exam fellows also, they can see up that thing, and that will be very useful for you. Okay, so guys, don't lose up hope. उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है और सब अच्छा ही होगा. Okay, so don't worry. I know you are down, you are feeling low, but come out of it and just come out with a bang. Okay, so let's start up, guys, without wasting much of a time with the questions. Okay, so first, this, I am already telling you that I have not got all the options properly. So I am discussing up the relevant aspects of the question. Okay, in the future, what can be asked in and around that I will also discuss up with you. Okay, guys. So don't go up that this was option, that was option. Basically, my purpose is that I should give you the topics from which the question can come, and I can give you the future topics also from which the question can come. Okay, so basically my purpose in this video is that. And in the I will be putting up these particular things, and if you want to add up to those options and all that, these were the options there, so I am happy to have it. Otherwise, I know that this have come, so I will discuss up that particular topic, and along with that I will also discuss up the in and around of it. Okay, so let's start up, guys. So firstly, this was being said by the students that Trichuris trichiura egg, this was asked. So guys, remember this particular thing, that in this the most important finding is these mucus plugs which are there. So you can see of these mucus plugs, and it is a barrel shaped or a dumbbell shaped egg. Barrel shaped or a dumbbell shaped egg. Okay, guys, fine. And this Trichuris trichiura loves to resides where? It loves to resides in the large intestine. Okay, it loves to resides in the large intestine. And how does the infection of this happens up? These eggs are ingested. Okay, you must be remembering that mnemonic of mine, that is eat, which happens by eating up of the eggs. Okay, and this eat, the E is what? Enterobius vermicularis. A is what? The Ascaris. And the T is what? This particular one only, that is Trichuris trichiura. So this question was there in the NEET exam also, and I suppose in the NEET, or it was in the AIMS exam, but it was a previous paper. Okay, so this particular question have again repeated up, so it can come again. And in the NEET, I would like to tell you, there was a question last NEET, it was a question that which particular worm associates with recurrent rectal prolapse in the children. Okay, so this is the worm which associates with recurrent rectal prolapse, and it leads to a unique type of rectum, and this can be your next FMG question, that coconut cake like rectum is a feature of which manifestation. So remember, that's the manifestation of Trichuris trichiura Trichuris trichiura infection. So because of that particular thing, there is a recurrent rectal prolapse which lands up the rectum, becoming how? Coconut cake like. Okay, so this is the first question, and EAD is the mnemonic for those particular things by which the infection happens by X ingestion. So that is Enterobius vermicularis, Ascaris, and Trichuris trichiura. Now, there was a question regarding the corona. I don't know the exact wordings and all that, but definitely they want to ask regarding the corona, that's for sure. So some guys have told that doctor, that was the options were the question was doctor working in ICU complained of loss of smell. Okay, the next best is to go for, if that particular fellow complains of all these particular features like loss of smell or certain mild ones which is not typical of corona, that is I suppose they want to ask her. I don't know exactly what was there, but the students have told that there was a loss of smell in the question. So next best step obviously, guys, is what? That you have to go for nasopharyngeal swabbing. Okay, and you can go for oropharyngeal swab also. And if somebody asks you nasopharyngeal swab and oropharyngeal swab, which one is better? So remember, guys, oropharyngeal swab is better than the nasopharyngeal swab. And then you have to send it for what? RT-PCR. Okay, and what is RT-PCR? Reverse transcriptase real-time PCR. That is the investigation of choice for the coronavirus. Okay, and why reverse transcriptase? Because corona is a RNA virus, as the name suggests also, corona RNA. So it's a RNA virus. Okay, and RNA have to be changed into DNA, and that is being done by a particular process termed as reverse transcriptase, and that's why the name have come, reverse transcriptase PCR. Okay guys, so here I want to tell you that these are the various features of the coronavirus, like symptom which commonly comes up. So as per the data on the net, the fever is the most common. Okay, then you remember cough is the important one which is there, and there is loss of appetite in majority of the patients. So if the question is regarding fever, loss of appetite and cough, and obviously dry cough mostly, so obviously we are talking about what? Corona. But here that will have talked about loss of smell, which is not so much, but it is there. Okay, then these particular things can also come, that it is not so that only the dry cough matters here, the cough with sputum also matters. Okay, and along with that, these all features which you are seeing up in this, they can also suggest of a severe disease of corona. Okay, but I suppose here that fellow wants to avoid up the typical features, they don't want to tell up the typical features. Okay, they were just telling about what, that is loss of smell and all like mild ones. So basically asymptomatic fellows, okay, are also there, and some with these particular mild features, and some obviously with a typical one like fever, loss of appetite and dry cough. Okay, remember guys, dry cough is more prevalent, but if the question is telling about the sputum stuff also, it is not excluding up the corona. Okay, so remember corona can exist up in every possible way. Okay, and here one thing is missing up, that is the diarrhea and all, it can exist with GI infection, diarrheal stuff also. Okay guys, now as you can see here that this is being arranged up in a fashion of important ones. The fever is reported by 83 to 99% of the fellows who suffers from this. Okay, cough 59 to 82%, loss of appetite 40 to 80 to 84%. So this is in the order, the main features of what? Fever, cough and loss of appetite. Okay, fatigue, that is 44 to 70%, that is typical of any viral infection, so here also that. Shortness of breath, coughing or sputum is also seen in majority, like 30% round, and muscle aches and pain, that is typical of a viral infection, 11 to 35%. So basically with all these features also, if the question comes up, then you have to think of what? Coronavirus. Okay guys, now somebody was telling that there was a curve given up, and in that there was a amplification, the N gene. So remember, if it is like so again that is a typical PCR reaction, real time PCR, and that is being done for coronavirus. Okay, so it was asked for the N because this particular gene was amplified. Remember guys, these all are there, the preferred targets for the coronavirus RT-PCR, which can come in the future NEET exam also and your December exam also, that you can use up even structural S and N genes with nucleocapsid gene NS, and you can go for non-structural one, that is RDRP, which is confirmatory. And remember this one, this is coming in your December exam, ORF 1A 1B, so that is open reading frames. This can also be targeted in the real time PCR testing. Okay, so remember guys, here it is E, one of the envelope ones, E N and RDRP. So this E is a common one, it tells up that these particular fellows, they belong to beta coronaviridae family. Okay, N and RDRP, some says they are confirmatory, some keeps N in the screening also, but this is for sure that this is confirmatory. If you are getting up this particular curve on the real time PCR, that is the RDRP curve, that is a confirmation that this particular fellow is suffering from what? Coronavirus infection. So guys, what I am telling up, that E, that is the envelope one, nucleocapsid, RDRP, these are the three most important ones. Okay, but what can come in the exam is this ORF 1A and 1B. They are also being targeted up in the real time PCR, and this is definitely a question in a NEET, like March, or you can say in the December exam of FMG. Okay, now the fourth question, like I have made it, I don't know what was the exact, they have shown the picture or what, But I just want to tell you for the future also that this might be the history of the question, if at all they want to ask regarding the measles and all. Okay, a 5-year-old child complains of cough, running nose, that is coryza, and conjunctivitis. So remember guys, this is 3C of this one. So they can ask the 3 C's of measles, that is the cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis. The physician notices small white lesion inside the patient's mouth. Okay, that is it might be the complex spots. Okay, and next day the red rash covers his face and neck. So this might be the history of the question, and this fellow is talking about what, guys? This fellow is talking about measles, and measles is being called in Hindi as what? Khasra. Okay, these are the 3 C's, that is the cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis. Complex spot, opposite lower second molar. Remember this particular thing, pathognomic feature. Maculopapular rash is there. Okay, and macule is the red lesion flushing, and papules is the raised red lesion which is seen up in this particular disease. Okay guys, besides this, you know that infectivity period I have already talked up. The rash 4 days before and 5 days after. Okay, this is the infectivity period of the measles, and measles is having 10 to 14 days. This is the incubation period of measles. And here only I am telling you that Warden-Finkelty giant cells, they are the typical of what, guys? Measles. Okay, and SSP, you already know that. That is a chronic late complication of measles. Fine. And as far as the picture is concerned, this is the picture which can come and can be shown to you, because this time the images are so much, so I'll also be targeting up a lot of images now. Okay, so this is the typical complex spot, and mostly it is seen opposite lower second molar, not here obviously, but it is being seen mostly opposite the lower second one. Conjunctivitis where that is there. Okay, and this is a measles virus rash which is typical here. Fine. So like that also they can show you, and that particular history which I have told you, the patient have come with this and all that. So this, for the future, you should be ready. Measles is ultra important. Definitely the question will come again. Okay. Then there was a chickenpox case, and how it can come up: an acute illness with diffuse generalized maculopapular vesicular rash. Okay, it can come like that. What it have? It have a dew drop on rose petal appearance. Pleomorphism it shows up. And what is the infectivity period of this fellows? The rash 2 days before and 5 days after. And what was the measles? 4 days before, 5 days after. So this is very well I have talked up in the app also, and in my lectures also I used to talk. 5 days after, or if this option exists up until the scab falls, this is better answer. Okay, means the infectivity period, if somebody asks you rash 2 days before and 5 days after, and if it is written until the scab falls, then that will be the better option rather than the 5 days after. Okay, in a chickenpox. So chickenpox is caused by what, guys? It is being caused by this particular HHV3. Okay, HHV3, and which is also termed as what? Varicella zoster, and this is human herpes virus 3, and it belongs to what? Herpes family, herpes viridae. Okay, and it's a double-stranded DNA virus. You know that. Okay, and this is the typical picture of it. Fine, and these are the various particular stages of the rash, or you can say the various lesions here. Okay, so basically here it is a pleomorphism of the rash, and here all these particular things they can exist of. That somewhere there is scabbing, somewhere there is ulcer, blister formation, okay, papule formation and all that stuff. Okay, so this was asked question: dew drop on rose petal, seen in obviously chickenpox and all. What is the portal of entry? It's pretty tract and conjunctiva. Okay guys, and obviously the secondary attack rate is very high, more than 90% of chickenpox, and infectivity period they usually ask up. Okay, another important surface regarding the congenital varicella, in which everything becomes small. That already I have discussed. Now the third question which was asked is regarding the hand, foot, mouth disease, and the question in the future also you can have this language. And what is that language? A child characterized by oral and pharyngeal ulcerations and vesicular rashes of the palms and soles, which heal without crusting. Guys, there is a hint, which heal without crusting. Okay, and there is oral and pharyngeal ulcerations, and there is a vesicles are there over the palms and the soles. Okay, over the palms and the soles there is the vascular rashes which are seen up, and they heal up without crusting. Okay, they heal up what? Without crusting. And that is typical of what? Hand, foot, mouth disease. And it is being done by what, guys? It is being done by Coxsackie virus, A16, and number of others are there which can cause hand, foot, mouth disease. Remember, this is done by this, and Coxsackie virus B also does it. Coxsackie virus B also does this hand, foot, mouth disease. Okay, and Coxsackie virus belongs to which particular family, guys? Picornavidae. Okay, and that's the RNA one, smaller RNA viruses these are. And a lot of questions are there in and around Coxsackie virus that we already have discussed up. I will not be making it very long by discussing up all those infections. Another one which is favorite of examiner is regarding the conjunctivitis, guys. Okay, so they can ask up that conjunctivitis here, that is acute hemorrhagic conjunctivitis. I am telling up acute hemorrhagic conjunctivitis, that is AHC, that is done by what? So enterovirus 70 and Coxsackie virus 824. This combination is the best answer for what? Acute hemorrhagic conjunctivitis. And here we are talking about what, guys? Hand, foot, mouth disease. Fine. Now talking about the Plasmodium falciparum, and it was a straightforward image-based questions, and it was still banana-shaped gametocyte. Banana-shaped gametocyte is typical of what? Plasmodium falciparum. Okay, and Plasmodium falciparum is the dangerous one, you also know that. Okay, what are the various other features which you can find out in this particular one? Okay, so Ecol forms, this question you can see up in your exam in the December. Ecol forms, that is observed in that. Morris dot, okay, Morris dot is observed up in the case of Plasmodium falciparum. Fine. Then all age RBCs are involved up. There is no discrimination in the RBCs that young and old will be involved up. All age RBCs are involved up. Okay. And there is a phenomena observed here, guys, that is termed as recrudescence. And recrudescence happens because of the incomplete treatment. So you can remember up the various stuffs of the Plasmodium falciparum by this mnemonic umber. A stands for Ecol forms, M stands for Morris dots, B stands for banana shaped gametocyte, which was there in the question. A is all age RBCs, and R is what? That is the recrudescence. And remember, guys, it associates with renal failure also. Okay, renal failure also. So this is the most dangerous one, and this particular Plasmodium falciparum is responsible for what? The complicated stuff like cerebral malaria and all that. Okay, guys, so remember this thing also. The incubation period of various Plasmodium, I don't know it was there or not, but some student have put it that the incubation period was asked. So I am discussing up in short. If at all it comes in NEET exam also, you would able to do up with this particular mnemonic, that is F worm. Okay, so F worm, why I am telling up, because I have kept up them in a ascending order. Okay, so F stands for falciparum, then vivax, then ovale, and then this malaria. Okay, so falciparum is having 12, vivax is having 14, this ovale is having 17, and this malaria is having 28. So guys, this is the most serious stuff. So it will happen in the least incubation period, 12 days. This vivax, the Vix is coming for how many rupees? 14. So you have to remember like this. So vivax is 14. Okay, just double of vivax is what? Malaria, that is 28. And ovale is just 1 or 2 days, you can remember up, more than the vivax. Okay, and I'm not telling, guys, that this is the incubation period, because it's a range, but definitely it will help you to remember this particular fact, the various incubation periods. Okay, so remember them by this mnemonic F, womb, and just write up 12 here, then 14 here. 14 double is where in the malaria, and this is just more, that is 17. Okay, so you will able to remember in the exam that various incubation period Plasmodium species are these ones. So F is falciparum, V is vivax, O is ovale, and M is what? M is malaria. Okay. Now, there was a question regarding the prophylaxis of malaria. So, prophylaxis of malaria depends upon that for how much time you are going off. Okay. So, if it is less than 6 weeks you are going off to a particular region, okay, so better to take doxycycline there. And doxycycline is given how? That suppose you are traveling from America to Africa, which is endemic zone. So, endemic country travel is Africa. So, you are going to Africa continent, any country of here, because that is endemic there. That fellow can come to India also. We are also having endemicity. Okay, but just for the sake, I am preventing my India from it. So that is Africa. The American travels to the Africa. So what to do? Doxycycline is being given up 2 days before the travel, and after the travel is completed up, there when that fellow again have come back to the America, you have to take it for 4 weeks. Okay, and remember doxycycline D, that is to be taken daily. Doxycycline is to be taken daily, so it can be managed for less than 6 weeks of stay. So that's why you go for doxy D daily. And meflo low, so this particular one is long. Okay, this particular one is taken for what? It is taken for long stay. Means if the stay is more than 6 weeks, then you can go for mefloquine, because this is long acting. Okay, it's a long acting one. So here what you do, the range is that before going up to that endemic zone, 2 weeks before you take it, because weekly you take it, it's long acting one. Okay, that's a good thing of it. So 2 weeks before you take, and you travel to the endemic country, and then after coming from there up to 4 weeks you have to take up this mefloquine. So basically you need to remember the doxy and meflo, they are used for the prophylaxis of the malaria. Okay. Now there was a question they were telling regarding the cryptococcal meningitis. There was a long history of it which they have made up. Okay guys, so simple. One thing is for sure, that this is very common in whom? In the HIV positive fellows. In fact, this is the most common cause of meningitis in the HIV positive ones. Okay guys, and remember this thing, that meningitis features will always remain the same only. That is a fever, headache, rigidity and all that stuff. Fine. Here the question was that which rapid testing will be preferred of. So this was their Indian ink stain, and latex card agglutination test was there. So guys, Indian ink stain is okay, that is rapidly being done, but it have its own flaws because of the fat globules and all. Sometimes falsely we can claim up that this is Cryptococcus neoformans, because that was a flat globule which will shine off, and we think that that is a capsule of Cryptococcus. So that thing you need to remember, that Indian ink stain is a rapid test, no doubt. It is to be done also in the sequence of firstly, but best to do for the rapid testing, here will be latex card agglutination test. Nowadays you have latex card agglutination test for the Cryptococcus neoformans, and you can do this particular test in the CSF and with the blood also. Okay, so as per me and whatever the information I've got from the students, so answer should be latex card agglutination, and these can be the sample, CSF or the blood. Okay guys, now this obviously I have remade this question. Okay, let's see the question first. A 6-year-old girl brought to the office for evaluation of a sore throat, okay, and fever, which she had for approximately 4 days. She is an immigrant but has not taken much of the medical care in her life. That means vaccinations were not done properly. Basically this is the catch guys, these all things you need to catch. Okay, and her immunization status is unknown. On examination the child is anxious, tachypnic and ill appearing. Her temperature is 38.6, that is 1.155 degree Fahrenheit, and her voice is hoarse. Examination of pharynx reveals tonsillar and pharyngeal edema with the presence of gray membrane. Okay, so remember one thing, guys, don't go for the story of the question. This is the art which you have to develop for the December exam. Okay, you just have to see 6-year-old female, this that particular thing, immunization status known. So how to study this 6-year-old girl? Okay, complaints of sore throat and fever, this is important one. Then immunization status unknown. Second point, gray membrane is seen on the tonsil, guys. This is pseudo membrane of diphtheria, okay, which extends over the uvula and the soft palate. She has prominent cervical adenopathy. Her lungs are clear. You immediately transfer her to the local children's hospital with the principal diagnosis of what, guys? Obviously, it's diphtheria. No points in guessing. Okay, so like this also the question can come. That's what I want to tell you. Okay, they might show you a particular picture, and they can it have already come in the NEET exam. Pearly white membrane over the tonsils and all. If you are able to observe, what is that, guys? That is diphtheria. So this is the way to tackle up these types of things. Which particular stain is used? Albert stain is mostly used. Gram stain also you can use up. It's a gram positive bacillus. Okay, and what factor is required for the expression of this toxin? So you know, guys, that the diphtheria toxin is a strong exotoxin. Okay, which you can remember by what? A, B, C, D, E, F. If you remember that particular mnemonic, that A and B, these are the two components of which fellow? Conivectin diphtheria. Okay, which acts on which factor? This factor name is what? Elongation factor. This factor name is what? This factor name is elongation factor, and it inhibits what? Protein synthesis, and thereby killing of the cell. Okay, there is a cell dying happens because of this mechanism like this. So this was there, and I suppose the question was regarding the Albert staining, and they were demonstrating the volatile granules in that. So this is what is the volatile granules, and Albert staining is the stain which is mostly being used. And other than that, you can remember this mnemonic, that is the Ponders, Albert, and Neisser. These are the various other ones which you can use up, and obviously you can use gram stain also. And on gram stain you will find this fellow as gram positive, and gram positive fellows, they look like which color, guys? Purple to violet. Okay, but this is green. Why? Because this is not gram stain, this is Albert stain, and this is widely used here. And these particular things which you have rounded off, that is what is the volatile granules here. Fine. Now another question was there regarding the cholera toxin, and cholera toxin I have also discussed up properly in my app and my lectures. Okay, so basically you need to remember that this is made up of these particular components: 2A components, 5B components. B always helps in what, guys? Binding. Okay, binding to where? GM1 ganglioside receptors. Okay, and A does what? A does ADP ribosylation of GTP. Okay, that is the G protein. And remember, G stimulatory protein. G stimulatory protein involves here. GS, this might be a question, and this increase of the adenylate cyclase activity. Adenyl cyclase activity is increased up because of it, and this adenyl cyclase activity leads to what? There is an increase in the cyclic AMP, adenosine monophosphate, and because of this, the intracellular water comes into the lumen. Okay, intracellular water comes to the lumen, and the patient develops what? Massive diarrhea. Okay, the patient develops what? Massive diarrhea, and this is which type of one? Rice watery stool. And which particular poisoning it mimics of? That is the arsenic. Okay, so these all are the future questions which you can tackle upon there. Okay, so G stimulatory is involved. This is one of the question. There is an increase in the activity of this cyclase. This might be the another question. And rice watery stool is another question, and it mimics which particular metal poisoning? That is another question. That is the arsenic metal poisoning. Syphilis affects which part of the nose? Mostly. Okay. Mostly. So answer to this question is septum. Only septum. And remember guys, this is the stage which is being focused upon in the nose involvement. Okay, and what does it show? It shows marked manifestations in the nose, superficial and deep ulcerations can happen, and this you remember up gummas. Okay, gummas are seen in which stage? They are seen in gummas, they are seen in the third stage of syphilis. And these gummatous deposits, they can happen in any portion of the nose, firstly, but the most frequent site is septum and the floor of the cavity. Okay, and in the Harrison there is only one line which is being given regarding this, that septum is involved up in the tertiary stage of syphilis. Okay, so these types of questions can also come guys. So remember regarding this, the syphilitic involvement of the nose, it happens in the third stage. Third stage means which one, gentlemen? That is a tertiary syphilis I am talking about. Okay, primary syphilis, there is a hard painless chancre. Okay, that is hard and painless, along with the painless lymphadenopathy. In the second one, you have rashes over the palms and soles and condylomata lata. That particular thing is there. Then go into latency and comes back with what? Tertiary one. In the tertiary one, mostly two complications. We talked about neuro and cardiovascular syphilis. And this is also there. That is the gummas. And that's why it is being asked again and again. The gummas is the feature seen in. So gummas is a feature seen in the tertiary one. Okay, and how to remember this, guys? If at all, sometimes you get confused up. This M is having what? 1, 2, 3. 3 particular projections. So remember like this, the gummas is a feature of which one? That is the tertiary or the complicated phase. Okay, that is the after the latent one which comes, tertiary syphilis. That is gummas as features of tertiary one, the third stage of one. Okay, and in the nose one, if it is a come, so it involves a what? Septum. Now there was a question regarding this. I don't know the options, guys. I have you only told 2, 3, and one I've added up tuberculin testing and all. So HIV patient presents with the cough more than 2 weeks. Next step was asked what? So obviously, if it is so, HIV known fellow is there, and developing a cough of more than 2 weeks, a highly strong suspicion of TB can happen, because it's very common with HIV here. Okay. So guys, this was asked in a sequence that what should be next done. So if this was there in the option, then that will be the answer, because it will check up regarding the, it is a simple test to do, and it will check up for the latency also once. So better to go firstly with this. Secondly, obviously you will go for the chest x-ray. Thirdly, you go for smear. And when you want to make a more accurate diagnosis or rapid diagnosis, you can go for CB NAT. Okay, so basically if tuberculin testing was there in the option, this is to be preferred. Then you can go for chest x-ray, then the smear, and the CB NAT later on. Okay, because here you don't want to focus upon that it is rifampicin resistance and all that stuff. So basically it all depends on this option, guys. If this was there, then this is there. Otherwise the things will change, and you might find the same thing in somebody's else version different. So don't bother upon. You have to prepare yourself for the future, and if it is so that it was there, then this should be done first, then the chest x-ray, then the smear, and then CB NAT. Okay. Now there was a question regarding the rabies virus dyne stuff. So regarding this, you remember one thing, the rabies virus, first of all, it's a RNA virus. Okay, it's a negative sense virus. Negative sense. Okay, it's a negative sense virus. It belongs to Rhabdoviridae family, and the subfamily is Lysaviridae. Okay, so it's a highly neurotropic virus. Everybody knows it. That migrates from the portal of the entry where the dog or somebody else have deposited the saliva and all, to the central nervous system, and the cytoplasmic dynein light chains of the cells, they are involved up in a variety of intracellular motile events, and they were shown to interact with the rabies virus phosphoprotein P. Okay, rabies virus phosphoprotein P, they have an interaction with the dynein light chains. So RVP and dynein light chains, they have interaction for the intracellular movements. Okay, so within the cytoplasm, they involve this interaction of the rabies virus phosphoprotein, okay, with whom? Dynein light chains. Now, so this rabies virus polymerase L together with the phosphoprotein P, they form a PL polymerase complex. Okay, so this particular L, that is the light chain one, this polymerase L together with the phosphoprotein, just now we had told they mix up, that is the light one, and this P1, that is a phosphoprotein. Okay, so these particular fellows, they produce what? A PL polymerase complex, and that is essential for the replication and transcription of the rabies virus. Okay, that is essential for the replication and transcription of the rabies virus. Remember this thing also. So they produce a sort of a complex that is termed as PL, and which particular one is involved up here? That is the dynein light chains. What is the speed of the rabies virus? 3 mm per hour. Another favorite question of examiner, that what is the speed of the rabies virus? So this is what is the speed of the rabies virus. Which particular characteristic finding you find in the post-mortem diagnosis of it? That is the Negri bodies. Okay, that also need to remember, that is a post-mortem finding, and the Seller's technique is employed for that demonstration, and it can find in the hippocampus and in the various other parts like pyramidal amon horns and all that stuff. Okay, and remember, if the antemortem diagnosis is asked, then you have to go for direct fluorescent antigen testing, and mostly the sample is being taken nowadays from the nape of the neck. Okay, hair follicle you pluck up, and in that you try to see up that particular thing, and corneal smear is also being observed up. Okay, but not so famous nowadays. And guys, if DFAT is attached up, that's fine, but if at all DFAT PCR attaches up to any particular thing, then that will become more important, I suppose so. Okay, and now with the coronavirus also, you must have got an idea that which type of this particular PCR technique is, because it's very highly sensitive and specific. So wherever it attaches up, it involves, it replicates that particular DNA millions of billions of times. So obviously, if it is a very low yield also, that in the corneal smear, it attaches up a word of PCR in front of it, then it will become good. The only thing is that is not easy to take. Now, there was a question regarding the blood spill, guys. And blood spill, you all know that if you are carrying up a blood vial and all suddenly slips out of your hand, then what you have to do, you have to just, first of all, you have to contain the spill. Okay, guys, this was the question in one of the All India exam. Again, it can come that what is the first step you will do? Suppose you are an intern, you are carrying off a blood vial, suddenly it falls from your hand and it spilled over the floor. Then what you will do? Try to contain the spill. And the second step is inform the infection control team. Okay, they will do the required things, and they are the person who will put up what? 1% sodium hypochlorite to disinfect up that particular blood. Okay, because you will take always that particular thing as infective only, so you will always put what? 1% sodium hypochlorite to make it disinfected. And the same thing, 1% sodium hypochlorite is nowadays is being used for what also, guys? For the coronavirus. Okay, along with that, you can use up 70% alcohol as a sanitizer to kill up the coronavirus. So that question can also come. And those particular they have to, tunnels they have made, na, sanitizer tunnels and all. So what is that particular chemical what they use up there? So in the sanitizer tunnels and all, what they use this particular thing only, 1% sodium hypochlorite. Okay, guys, so this also need to remember. Now there was a question regarding this erysipelas, and this is being done by what? Group A strepto And group A strepto is which one? Streptococcus pyogenes. This picture was there, I suppose, and this is typical of this. Okay, so basically in this, important is that the lymphatics are also being involved. Okay, lymphatics are involved, and along with that, this particular fellow also does what? Cellulitis and impetigo. These are also the features done by this group A strep. And what are the, like, which is the super antigen of it, guys? The scarlet fever toxin. Remember that particular name also. And what are the non-suppurative complications of streptococcus pyogenes? Important ones: acute rheumatic fever and, yes, acute rheumatic fever and acute glomerulonephritis. Okay, guys, remember this. Now, some more important facts which can come in the exam now, that erysipelas is also termed as what? Saint Anthony's fire. Okay, remember this name somewhere else. Saint Anthony's fire. Saint Anthony's fire is being used in the ergotoxicosis also, guys. Okay, and erysipelas is also termed as Saint Anthony's fire. Remember this. It's a bacterial infection we just now have done. Superficial layer of the skin is involved, that is the upper dermis, extending to the superficial lymphatic vessels. Just now I told you lymphatics are involved. Okay, characterized by what? Raised, well-defined, tender, bright red rash. Okay, which is typically seen here. Okay, typically on the face and the leg, but which can occur anywhere on the skin. And basically it's a subtype of cellulitis only, but you can, like, a subdued form of cellulitis, that is erysipelas. Important is lymphatics are involved, otherwise the features are somewhat of the cellulitis only. Now the interesting thing which you focus upon here is that this erysipelas is disease caused by infection with the bacteria, this name also, that is the Erysoplethorix russopathy. Erysoplethorix russopathy, this is also there, which can cause this erysipelas, but obviously not in the humans. In the animals it can cause this. In the animals, this particular thing can be done by this one, Erysipelotrix russopathy. And the disease caused in animals is termed as what? Diamond skin disease. Their skin becomes what? Diamond like. So diamond skin disease, this is there. And it is being done in the animals by what? The name which is suggestive of it, Erysipelotrix russopathy. Now the important which I want to tell you, that it also does this, the same organism also does the infection in humans, and the human infection is termed as what? Erysipeloid. Okay, and this was asked in AIIMS exam, so it can come in your FNG exam or NEET exam next time. So this was there, which is involved with erysipeloid. Now, condyloma acuminata, this is directly, like, all these pictures are there in my, like, image discussion. Okay, so this was also there, and this is genital warts basically. And genital warts, you know, that is being done by what, guys? HPV 6 and 11. Human papillomavirus 6 and 11, that does the genital warts. The common warts, verruca vulgaris and all that, they are done by what? HPV 1, 2 and 4 they can do. Okay, by HPV 6 and 11 they lead to the genital warts, that is also termed as what? Condyloma acuminata. Okay, guys, and they are recurrent ones. And human papillomavirus, you already know that is a DNA virus, and it's a double-stranded virus. And regarding these genital warts, it is being said that they predispose to the sin and even to the invasive cervical carcinomas later. Okay, and for those particular things, that is HPV 16, 18, that particular one involved with the cervical carcinoma also, and that's why it is now a sort of a, like, sort of a practice only now to give those particular vaccines, Cervarix and Gardasil. Okay, Cervarix is bivalent and Gardasil is quadrivalent. And now, in fact, for the 9 serotypes of HPV, the new vaccine has come, that is nanovalent, that is the Gardasil. Okay, fine, guys. So all these you need to remember. And another important thing is that those Cervarix and Gardasil you can give to the boys also to prevent up, like, anal carcinomas and all that stuff, anogenital warts or anogenital carcinomas, that can be prevented up, and you can give to the boys also these particular vaccines. That is not exclusive of girls only. Okay, so these are all questions which we have discussed up, guys. Okay, and you can just see up again after going off in this particular video, and these all are there. And in the YouTube only I am starting up like case wise series which are discussed under the quantum vector and the theory question, like that we'll discuss up in and around that particular one, the catch points of that particular case scenario will discuss up, and the image regarding that. Okay, and that will cover up most of your aspects of the infectious diseases and all. So don't worry, guys, everything have a solution. This thing will also end up, don't worry. Okay, and I'm very highly optimistic regarding this, that the next time, because they have done like they have crossed the limits of difficulty in this, so next December exam will definitely be balanced, because they have to face up the cry and wrath of all these FMG students for just now. So it will not be easy for them to sustain up and to make the same level of exam in the December. Okay, so guys, don't focus upon all these bad memories. Focus upon your future. Focus upon your particular aspect, that if you leave up, everything will go, and if you just keep on struggling up like a soldier, you will pass on. Okay, so very best of luck, guys. Don't worry, the bad things goes away and good things always come. Be hopeful, be cheerful, and come out of your slumber now and just get on with the books and just focus upon, because time is very short. You will never feel up when the 100 days will go. They will go like in a wink of an eye. Okay, so just focus upon these, make a strategy, try to do these types of questions. Okay, and focus upon the important aspects of it. Try to put up the underlying stuff, that you have to see up these particular points and catch up the subject of that particular thing. Okay, and remember, don't change your strategy drastically, that you focus upon those types of questions only, and you end up with some nothing. So don't do that. Try to practice them, but do revise your course in the same way. And I'm very hopeful that the December exam will be very balanced. Don't worry. Okay, I'm not sure that the one-liners will come or not, but it will not be so difficult for sure. Okay, because the NB will also feel the heat after giving this particular exam and seeing up the results of the students. They will also feel the heat, and definitely the things will change up. So best of luck, guys. Don't waste your time here and there thinking more. Just focus upon, just end up with these particular questions, like we all faculties have put forward all these ones. So just focus upon these particular ones and try to end up these, and just get back to studies as soon as possible. Best of luck, guys. You all can do, and you will do. Okay, thank you so much.